quiet desperation as I wander through the world in which I live. I search everywhere for some new inspiration, but it's more than cold reality can give. If I need a cause for celebration or a comfort I can use to ease my mind, I rely on my imagination, and I dream of an imaginary time.
I'm George Gilder. This is the Great Hall of the immigration station at Ellis Island. It's been abandoned now for some 30 years. They're converting it into a museum. But for more than 60 years, this chamber, like a great ventricle in the nation's heart, pumped new life into America. 17 million immigrants passed through this room. Their descendants make up 40% of the nation's population. When they came, just as today, many people wanted to keep them out. They used the familiar excuses. The immigrants are poor. Who will support them? The cities are already crowded. Where will they live? There are no jobs for Americans. Where will they work? Well, the answer is the immigrants supported themselves. And in their efforts to support themselves, they overshot the mark and created new jobs, new opportunities for millions. Yes, they did crowd into the cities, and they turned those cities into centers of world culture. Yes, they generally started at the bottom, in the most menial jobs for the lowest pay. And in just a few decades, they helped build an American industrial empire that's the marvel of the world. They even made millionaires of many of the people who wanted to keep them out. Those who wanted to shut America's golden door had misunderstood not only the spirit of the immigrants, but the spirit of America. The great American historian Frederick Jackson Turner maintained that the frontier was the key force in shaping the American character. The wide open West, the dense forests of Kentucky, the great empty plains of Nebraska, the barren deserts of the Southwest didn't discourage Americans. They challenged them to clear the land, to fight the droughts, to defend their homesteads, to build a new world. Turner called the frontier a great escape from the bondage of the past. On the frontier, if you could swing an axe or fix a plow, it didn't matter if you didn't talk right or have the right ancestors. The West is settled now, but because we have always welcomed new Americans, the American frontier has never really closed. For the immigrant, all America is still a frontier. as challenging and as full of opportunity as it was for any settler in a wagon train. If the frontier kept America perpetually young and vigorous, then new immigrants keep America a perpetual frontier. Erie, Pennsylvania. In many ways, the typical American city. Just about average size. It has just about every ethnic group. It's a little colder than average, maybe a little older. And lately the economy has been slow. But as a place to look in on today's immigrants, it will do very nicely. For in recent years, it has seen a steady flow of new Americans. For them, Erie, Pennsylvania is a frontier town.
I escaped from Poland because I was forced to join the espionage and spy on my friends. I was only 21. I didn't expect it much. I didn't have any plans, really. I had a flight toward the German border on 5th of March, 1953, the same day that Stalin died. And when I was halfway between my airbase and German border, I turned toward the Danish island of Bornholm. And within minutes, I was over the island. And I was very calm. I put my wheels down, flaps down, and I landed on a cow pasture. That was the first time ever somebody did that. And survived, by the way.
Frank Jarecki isn't Erie's typical immigrant, but he is certainly Erie's most famous and possibly wealthiest. He is a character right out of Horatio Alger, a symbol of all the dramas of the immigrant experience. Frank Jarecki is the man who stole the MiG, a Polish pilot who in 1953 brought the West a plane so advanced the NATO allies had offered a $100,000 reward for it. But he turned down the reward and came up the hard way.
I was a salesman for the machine shop and working on a commission, by the way. I remember working about 2 or 3 months before I made $80. And it made me more tougher and determined to succeed.
With help from a banker impressed with his drive, Jarecki started his own small machine shop. Frank was almost finished before he started. He was tricked into buying obsolete equipment and almost went broke. Through hard work, he kept afloat.
They work so hard, that's why they're so thin.
At first, Frank's chances seemed thin. That first shop was tiny, unknown, and underfinanced. His military background helped land a few contracts. His personal drive and the energy he exudes helped more.
And there was only 2 of us, myself and my foreman. And first year I had sales on approximately $30,000. I got into maybe 6 people. That was in '69. And next year I hired more and I bought more equipment. Within 2 years I opened a new shop in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Today, Frank Jarecki is a self-made millionaire and one of Erie's leading citizens. His factories employ almost 100 people. Business textbooks cite his story as an example of inspired entrepreneurship. He serves on presidential commissions. Last year, he revived a defunct local racetrack, which he plans to turn into a multi-million-dollar resort complex, creating more jobs. Remembering his own experiences, he hires a lot of immigrants, but only those who earn his respect.
The people that I know that have been coming, they have a trade. They can do something. So they're not, and they want to work. It's not that they just come and they go on the welfare. People that are qualified, and if there's demand for them, yes, I have sympathy for those people, because everybody would like to come to the United States. Let's face it. This is a land of milk and honey. There's no other country on this earth that has so much and is so good.
Perhaps, But much of the secret of that greatness is that America has kept her doors open to people like Frank Jarecki, risk takers, men with the moral courage to cast their bread upon the water, reaping a thousand-fold reward for themselves and their country. But there are many types of risk and many sorts of reward.
In this country, everyone who lives in this country, they are American. In Russia, people separate. And I was born as a Jewish, and I was raised as a Jewish, same as my family. And in all my life, and I lived there, I felt I'm a Jewish.
Lev and Lara Rabinovich and their two children came to this country in 1978, fleeing religious oppression in the Soviet Union. The Soviets virtually forbade Jewish religious practices, but they never let Lev or Lara forget that they were Jewish. Every Soviet citizen must carry an internal passport showing his ethnic origins.
First, in a passport, it's your first name, middle name, last name, and after your nationality. And if you want to go in any places, you want to buy a ticket on an airplane, or you want to rent a car or room in a hotel, you have to show your passport. And people, if they don't like Jewish, they won't sell you ticket, or they will tell you motel is full. Many years I tried to go to college, what I really like. And once a friend of mine who worked there told me, listen, you better go to a different place. And he explained me why. Yeah, I hope you understand. Same point, Jewish. In Kiev city where I grew up, and I was born and grew up, we have a synagogue. It's probably a room 150 feet by 200 feet, and we have probably 250,000 Jewish people. I went only once inside in all my life, but every year in Yom Kippur, all my family was in a synagogue, not inside, outside. Thousand people stay outside, and we only come to remind our children, like my parents remind me, we are Jewish.
Our God was Lenin, our apostles was Karl Marx and Engels. That's it, we grow up like this. From kindergarten we grow up. It's religion for us was like a crime. And I know for my children, if they will be very good students, they will never be in a college, because it's only 5% Jewish people very genius can be in a college.
Oppressed as they were in Russia, the Rabinoviches made a good living. Lara, with her Russian looks and maiden name, was rarely recognized as Jewish and had an especially good job.
I was accountant in Russia, and I had 200 workers under me, and I had everything what need. They paid me a lot of money, and I came here, and I started working at Hilton Hotel. I clean the rooms, 14 rooms a day, sometimes 16 rooms a day, and I was upset. 3 days I was upset with apartment. I was crying because it was a small city. We live in a beautiful city, 1,500 years old, Kiev.
For her it was really very hard time. But we talk to each other because we knew why we left Russia. We didn't come to this country to be rich. We were wealthy in Russia. No, we came to this country only really to feel free. And what we really feel free now.
Still, the Rabinoviches are recovering rapidly. Lev quickly found work with the Erie Organ Supply Company.
I started to work in organ supply in a few weeks when we arrived to this country. And it wasn't hard to understand that because I still all my life worked in air-conditioned business. But my problem was language.
The immigrant has lost his old world and must create a new one. He doesn't quite fit in, so he must work especially hard. Extraordinary effort becomes the ordinary thing, enriching both the immigrant and those around him. So it is with the Rabinoviches. At the factory, Lev has been rising rapidly.
I started first in the simple department, and in a few days, the CI was very progressive. and they gave me different, more complicated.
Within a year, he was head of his department.
And now I have 5-6 people all the time in my department, and some people work more years than I do in this company, but they work under me. Case,
Yeah,
you finish this order?
I feel that the greatest advantage of an immigrant is that he has a different background of hard working, and they are not afraid to do that. I am not saying that an American is not a hard worker. Lev has a very interesting feature, which is that he will push his way up. And I have an idea that with any immigrant who comes to this country, where that is missing, well, he is not going to make it. I think the fact that you move from one country to another, for me, is that you have that push there. And that is one thing that is missing for a heck of a lot of young Americans. The push is just not there. It is just a job, and that's it. Lev is very proud of whatever he is creating in organ pipes, and I am sure in any business where he goes in, it will be it has to be almost perfect, if not perfect.
Lev's rapid rise at the factory wasn't enough. He and Lara have turned her favorite hobby into a thriving business, a donut and pastry shop.
Because I like to bake. I like bake. It's my hobby.
They got started almost by accident. When Lucian Zabramny, a Polish friend who directs a local theater, fell in love with Lara's homemade pastries and asked her to sell them at his theater during intermission. The rest, as they say, is history.
We start to make for theater, and people ask for more and more, and they start to order it. So they order cakes, birthday cakes, and my wife made this in the kitchen. It was impossible to make in the kitchen so much. We start to look for place to rent, and recently we found a place like this location in Lawrence Park, and we bought this business. It's donuts business. We couldn't find business that we could afford, and I asked my friends to help me. It's 8 people, my friends. They lend me money, everyone who more or less, and some people 2,000, some people 1,000, interest free, and they said you can pay this money back when you make this money, and the rest money I take from the bank, and I pay my bills now. And I work not only in donut shop, and I don't work only in my company. I still work for 2 jewelry stores as a goldsmith, Monday night and Friday nights. And it's very hard because I hardly have time to sleep. But to build a business, you have to work hard. This country is a marvelous country. You have opportunity, use it. If you want to do something with yourself, you have to work hard, and you can do it. My children are very good. They help me everything. My son, he works in the weekends. He works sometimes Friday night, and Saturday and Sunday full days. And my daughter, son in 10th grade and daughter in the college. And when she has free time from the school, she comes and helps.
It's all in the wrist.
In nearly every nation, many of the most successful entrepreneurs are immigrants, partly because more conventional paths to prosperity are often closed to them. Ambitious immigrants are almost forced to take the risky plunge into business. And small businesses, like Lev and Lara's, account for 80% of the net new jobs created in this country. Lev and Lara's friend Lucian Zabramny was the first to encourage them to get into business. But when Lucian and his wife Chris first arrived in America, their lives having been suddenly torn apart by the political upheavals in communist Poland, it was they who needed encouragement.
My family was an example for Lucian Zabramny because this time when he came, I already had a car, I had a house, I had a good job, and he asked me, how could you do this? And I had second job that time already. How could you do this? I said, listen, try. because I know you're young, you can do everything if you want to. And I promised him, it was not a promise not to do something for him, but as an opportunity in this country. I said, listen, this country for you and art. And he's very happy now. And it's only because you have to believe in life. You have to believe in the freedom, and you have to believe in a good future.
You don't have to.
Okay. Sit down.
Who sits
Sit
there?
down, everybody sit down.
Okay, Chris.
Before coming to America in 1981, Lucien Zabromny, then only 25 years old, was a successful Polish actor, wealthy by Polish standards, with a growing reputation as a director and playwright. In early 1981, Lucien submitted his most recent play to the government censors as required by law. It was a non-political play, but these were the days of solidarity. The censors were especially paranoid. As Lucien tells the story, they handed back his 40-page play and with perfectly straight faces told him that 4 of the 40 pages had been approved and could be performed. They listed their objections in absurd and infuriating detail.
Donuts! And donuts! The Russians!
Thank God for American donuts.
Though Lucien hated the communists, he had always been non-political. But he didn't like being pushed around. He and Chris and some theater friends defied the censors and performed the play. Soon Lucien was being harassed by the authorities.
At the time we were talking about, there was shortage of food in Poland, so you couldn't use the word coupon, you couldn't use the word meat, and you couldn't show or present on the radio or show on TV any scene including eating.
Open vodka, nobody drink vodka. It's
Hey!
In protest, he wrote another play, a short satire on censorship. He and his theater group gave 6 performances in one night, racing from nightclub to nightclub, one step ahead of the police. It was an incredible act of defiance.
The next day, I found out that definitely my contract at the theater as an actor won't be renewed. And after several days, the secret police agent came and he suggested that I won't be able to get any acting job in this country, and it would be a wise move for me and my family to leave Poland.
I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half-past dead. I just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand, no was all he said.
Leaving Poland would certainly mean the end of his acting career. And because there are so few professional theaters in America, he knew there would be little chance of working steadily as a director here. Perhaps he could have ingratiated himself with the Polish government and rebuild his career that way. But he did not want to do that. He and Chris decided they would leave Poland, even if it meant leaving the theater. Today, Lucien earns his living as an instructor in Erie's Barber Center, an institute for the mentally and physically handicapped.
You know, they took away my island in the communist country, and this island was theater. And without the theater, Poland didn't mean anything to me. Even if I will have to the end of my life work at the American factory, I still like it better than working in Polish factory. But at least we'll be free, and it's better for our family.
Like many immigrants, he is still amazed by Americans who say they can't find jobs.
I would accept any job for any money because I just wanted to start somehow. When I have one job, I told my wife, if we cannot have the theater, at least let's rebuild our life here in a very short time, relatively. Let's catch up with the people who are here forever. So for the next 2 years, I really had, the minimum was 2 up to 4 or 5 jobs at the one time.
Immigration has had some permanent costs for Lucian, but his loss is Erie's gain, for Lucian never completely despaired of rebuilding a theater career. Within a year, he was directing at local colleges, and in 1983, he founded Studio 29, a new theater dedicated to bringing serious drama to Erie. A tall order, but Lucian's experiences have given him an extra dose of determination. With Chris's support, he succeeded.
Yeah, just one more.
For me, well, I lost something probably leaving Poland to be with him here, because he have his theater, and I'm here. I'm agreed to be housewife.
Yes, it is.
In Poland, I was a stage manager, and promptly, right after I came to United States, I went to work to Hilton Hotel to clean 14 rooms a day, which was after my theater, and beautiful life was very bad for me. But, well, after a few days, I got over. I knew I have to do this.
So, what was wrong with you?
I'm coming down with swollen glands.
What does it mean?
So your throat closes up. Right here. It gets real swollen. And I come down with it once a year.
For how long?
Couple of days.
Oh, a couple days, good.
Chris says Lucian's courage is what made her brave enough to defy the Polish censors and gave her the strength to come to America. She tells a story about Poland in the late 60s, when she and Lucian were high school age and Poland was engulfed in student protests against the communist government. The government demanded that every high school student in the country sign a petition denouncing the protesters. Most signed.
I hate myself for doing this, for signing this paper. But because I was weak, I signed it. Everybody in our class did. Lucian didn't, but he was always strong. That's why, in the end, came to the point, like, was his choice to do this show or not, and I was very proud of him.
He used to dance the tango like a professional.
Here Lucian is in dress rehearsal for No Exit, John Paul Sartre's play in which the protagonist fashions a room in hell out of his own cowardice. Is not the sort of theme that gets much play on Erie's stages. But so far, Lucian has specialized in bringing the unusual to Erie. It is part of his gift to America. Local Erie poet, Don McQuaid.
You see in the works that Lucian has directed in America so far, this intensity, this starkness, there's a driven quality that underlies this direction. And he's sticking it out. He's getting a diversity of experience. And really, I think that Erie, Pennsylvania is a very good place for him to be. It wouldn't be if Erie were not growing. Erie is changing. Lucian came, and this comes back to the destiny thing, okay? Lucian showed up in Erie at the right moment. Erie is ready for Lucian. 5 years ago, are you kidding? Go to one of those, you know, these European existential angst-ridden performances, you know. No, they wouldn't buy it. Now listen now.
Chris still remembers the night her sacrifices paid off, the night of Studio 29's first performance.
I think that accidentally was the last day I was working at Hilton. And here I was, there I was cleaning these rooms. And then I put radio on, and I heard advertisement about Studio 29 that was about my husband, and I was feeling very great. I think I cleaned this room the best in my whole. I was very happy, very happy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, hello there. How are you doing? Hey, you beautiful. How are you today?
haven't seen you for a while, you know that?
Themis Francis from Greece and his wife Frida from Germany are in a way modern representatives of the great wave of immigrants from Western Europe who came to America in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
Yes, it's right here.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you. Oh, I see you've had attendance.
But things have changed in the last half-century. Themis, who arrived 24 years ago, became an American almost by accident. He had intended to return to Greece after getting an advanced degree in business here.
The idea of immigration, no, did not really enter in my mind if there's a question in that area. The idea was that I would come over here and would do the studying, and the future would be open.
Leather here and envelopes and all the other things that we talked the other day, you know, stop in and...
okay, and I'll have a new program for you.
Yeah. Okay.
See you. Bye, Freda.
Bye-bye, sweetheart.
To school.
It's really something, huh?
He earned his master's and could have gone home, but he began to consider a doctorate. Soon he found himself repeatedly extending his stay and looking for ways to make a living. At one point, Themis, with his Greek accent, found himself teaching French to American students at a college in Texas.
This college was in Texas, and it was a black college. And myself now, fresh here in the States with 2 years of experience, trying to communicate with my accent with black people from Texas, mainly students who had never seen a Greek person. It was a riot. Keep the faith.
Even after he had met and married his wife Frida, who had come to America only to visit relatives, Themis intended to return to Europe.
My wife came to the States, yes, to visit her sister. We never discussed in a way that, okay, this is going to be our home for the rest of our lives.
You will have it in 1 hour.
1 hour.
But one thing led to another. After a number of teaching jobs, 10 years ago, Themis and Frida moved to Erie for yet another teaching job. Once Themis arrived, though, his old yen for running a business revived. He got into printing almost by accident.
With the printing business, I wasn't familiar at all. When I told my wife, I said, look, we're going to buy a printing shop, and she says, you're crazy. I said, well, crazy or no crazy, I said, we got to do something.
Frida still thinks Themis is crazy, but today the print shop is a success. Now they also own 3 video stores.
How are you today?
Hello, Home Video Exchange. May I help you? Educating reader, let me check.
Themis and Frida are American citizens, yet they also consider themselves citizens of the world. Unlike the European immigrants of 100 years ago, Themis can easily afford to visit his native Greece and does so from time to time. In fact, he and Frida own land in Greece and may well retire there.
The country is beautiful, there's no question about it. People who come from abroad for a variety of reasons, including political or persecution of one sort or another. The reasons are not the same that I came here to the States. My wife and I considered all the time the possibility of either staying or going to another country, whether this could be here or in Greece or in Germany or any other country for that matter.
The moral of Themis' and Frida's story is that leaving Western Europe for America no longer means coming to a new world in the same way that it did for most of our ancestors. The true successors to that immigrant experience, those for whom America is truly a new world, are those who can never return to their old world. Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, half a world away. But for many of the nearly 2 million people who have fled the region since it fell to communism, it is another world, another century, another life, all the more distant because most of these refugees were forced to flee their homes, and none can ever return. Indo-Chinese refugees are making rapid progress. Their penchant for hard work is already becoming legendary. U.S. government experts cite Houston, Atlanta, Washington, Silicon Valley, California, and smaller cities around the country as places where these refugees are revitalizing local economies. Education officials marvel at their achievements. Who has not seen at least one news story about a Vietnamese teenager making high school valedictorian? Indo-Chinese refugees are making a mighty contribution to our economy and our culture. Nevertheless, when they first arrive, many need special help. In Erie, refugees depend on Catholic social services and on the International Institute of Erie. Here at the International Institute, Mary Peter Hensel teaches basic survival English as well as simple life skills.
I could show you in an hour or 2 hours how to teach somebody how to speak English. It's really not that difficult. We do it with a lot of pictures. You almost have to be an actor because you have to, facial expressions and actions in the classroom will determine the response that you want from the students.
What else is he baking? Bread. He's baking bread.
Culture shock. I think I've probably been in it myself. It's the adjustment to a new culture and accepting that way of life. In the language, the differences in food, in shopping, in the way things are run, in the government.
What do they do on weekends? They eat at a restaurant.
And our way of life is so different. In their country, signing their name doesn't mean anything. Here they sign a year lease, and in a month they want to move to another apartment, and it's just totally different from anything they've ever known.
On weekends.
No
more.
They
visit friends. Good. What do they do on weekends? They go to the beach. Okay. What do you do on weekends?
Many third world immigrants develop psychological problems as well.
But they had a hard time to find a job.
Dr. Akhtar Hussain, an immigrant himself, counsels many third world immigrants suffering from depression caused by culture shock.
Tell me, what did you expect before you come here? What did you think America would be like?
Well, the first I came here, you don't know how to talk it, but anybody like you, anybody want to talk to you, but you don't understand how to talk to them, but how to make a friend, how to understand.
Did you think that as soon as you come here, you will have a job and you will have a house and you will have everything?
No, we don't think about that, but we don't think about what's hard to learn, but how to make money. But we think how do I in the future I can talk and I can have a job, then I can have a good job, can have a house.
I guess the number one rule is not to become emotionally involved with your clients. However, I've never been able to do that.
One family with which Mary has been deeply involved is the Trans, a North Vietnamese family that has been living in the Erie area since they arrived in this country in 1979. The father, Ty, is unemployed, demoralized, locked in depression. The family scrapes along on public assistance and the earnings of some of the children.
The mother is never out of the home and had difficulty learning English. The father, supposedly he's been unable to find work. I think he could have found a job, but I think it's his lack of adjustment to our culture, to Americans, that has prevented him from really looking for a job and working in a job.
The various things that make people depressed after they come here, number one is the language. Number two is different expectations. Some people may have the image of America projected to them as a land which is flowing with milk and honey and where everything is available very easily. When they come here with that kind of expectation, they don't find it. They can get on welfare, they get a medical card, they might even get social security, but the way the system works is entirely different from the rest of the world, really.
Though many refugees start on welfare, fewer than 30% are still on it after 3 years, and nearly all leave the roll soon after that. Yet for those few who do get stuck, welfare dependency can be critically demoralizing. According to Sister Teresa Boren of Catholic Social Services, a job is the most important aid in settling into a new culture.
That is not to say that we have never had a refugee on welfare, but it is to say that that's not what we want to primarily do. We want to get them a job first.
But in states with particularly open-handed welfare systems, an unusually high number of immigrants are missing the opportunities of America.
I think it's true that they haven't embraced the United States or the opportunities that might be available to them. I'm not sure that that's their own fault, because culture shock can be a very devastating thing. And I think they've tried to do what they can, but I think they have just fallen into this rut. And it's very difficult to pull yourself out without help. With the children, it's a completely different story. The future for the Tran family, I think, is pretty much going to rest in the children. Most of them are coming up through the American school system. They will have the same opportunities that any American child will be offered.
Fong, the oldest girl, wants to be a hairdresser and has already passed her practical exam. She hopes to improve her English enough to pass the written exam and get a good job soon. The Tran's oldest son, Hawa, is away in Philadelphia studying commercial art at the Antonelli Institute, where he has a scholarship. Lan and An are both in high school and have part-time jobs. None of these girls, or their 3 younger siblings, have any doubt where home is.
Well, she was an American girl, raised on promises. She couldn't help thinking that there was a little more life somewhere else. After all, it was a great big world with lots of places to run to. Yeah, then she had to die trying. She that one little promise she was gonna keep. Oh yeah, alright. Take it easy, baby. Make it last all night. She was an American girl.
The Ratatavong family, Nawing, his wife Chinnery, and their children, are refugees from Laos who have faced especially difficult problems. Yet their story, though tragic in some ways, is encouraging. In Laos, Nawing was a wealthy government lawyer, Chinnery a judge. They lived in a big house with servants, including a chauffeur. When Laos fell to the communists in 1975, Nawing was arrested. Chinnery, not knowing whether Nawing was alive, fled the country secretly, traveling with her young children, mostly on foot, to a refugee camp in Thailand. There, months later, she was reunited with Nawing. Chinnery is proud of having been a judge in Laos and grieves that she cannot practice her profession here. But her loss has not broken her spirit. As a woman of position, Chinnery had never sewed until she learned in refugee camp. Yet today, these beautiful garments are the key to the Ratatavong family finances. With the help of the International Institute, in 1983, Chinnery and several other refugees organized the International Sewing Business, a still tiny but growing clothing manufacturer. In fact, the company makes uniforms for the Erie Hilton, where Lara Rabinovich and Chris Zavramny both worked. Despite the disappointments in her own life, and though she and her family are still quite poor, Chinnery Ratadavong is already making jobs for other Americans.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
When Nguyen was arrested, he was taken to a communist re-education camp and tortured. He avoided death only by escaping. He once hoped to work as a lawyer here, but that proved impossible. Today, he ekes out a small wage as a laboratory assistant, washing test tubes. Like Chinnery, Nguyen is proud of what he was in Laos. He still talks about the day he received a medal for meritorious service from his king. He has no illusions about what he has lost, but his loss hasn't crippled him, and his pride has certainly not deserted him.
The thing that I find absolutely astonishing is the man is totally happy to be a dishwasher. He never complains. He never slacks off. He keeps working, and he takes tremendous pride in his work. That is his job, and he is going to do it the best he can.
Devastated by war, the Ratadavong family is fighting back. There are 750,000 recent Southeast Asian refugees in this country. Though most were completely unprepared for Western society, 82% are already employed, many doing essential work in high-tech industries. Soon, their unemployment rate will be below the national average. Like most immigrants, they are already giving back far more than they take. Paul Cam, one of Pennsylvania's most promising architects, also gives more than he takes. He came from Hong Kong, but his pleasing designs celebrate the influence of that most American of architects, Frank Lloyd Wright.
This house we will design just so we blend in with the natural environment, and we actually design this house so this house can crawl up the hill according to natural contour. Here's a house I want to show you.
Paul came to the United States 20 years ago to study architecture and never left. Like Lucien Zabramny's theater, Paul's designs are a challenge to Erie, but Erie has embraced him, thereby enriching herself. Though supposedly one of America's aging cities, Paul has found that Erie is eager to recover her youth.
The idea of designing this big room is to bring the outside in.
Under construction near Erie is a microchip factory designed by Paul. The technical demands of microchip production make such a project far more challenging than most industrial designs. The factory will employ over 100 people. Still, Paul is probably happier, catering to the aesthetic whims of some of his more sophisticated residential clients, with high-tech demands of their own.
A cedar closet with red oak cathedral ceiling, and a fan and a skylight. Below the skylight, there is a hot tub complete with 14K gold fixtures.
In the Orient, family ties are extremely close.
Or for building, not for a piece of land.
At first, Paul's family strongly opposed his settling in the U.S., but after Paul's father died, his mother relented.
Really, she made a smart decision. She knew my ambition. I saw great opportunities in this country. Hong Kong, really, it is a fascinating city, but there wasn't any room for personal development, for business development.
Broken family ties often breed a sense of loss and spur a need to rebuild. This drive to rebuild may be one reason so many immigrants are successful in business. That may be the case with Paul. Like all the Oriental immigrants with whom we spoke, he has strong opinions about family life. Strict ideas about child raising may become one of the most important Oriental contributions to our unsettled culture.
In China, we have so-called family education. The family education is the education the parents will give to children at the school hours. Every family has a certain set of rules for the kids to follow. And really it's up to parents to supervise the children. I think I raised my kids a lot more stricter than most parents.
Wait me.
I think a lot of kids misunderstand that phrase, be yourself. Does not mean that you can do anything you want. You have to make room for other people.
Five. And five.
Hi, Monja. You look nice today. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
I said, Lucian, after I'd known him a while, and he was trying to reconcile his artistic and personal elements, with the situation, and I said, I think it was in a time when he was having some doubts and some questions, about whether things were going to work out for him here, and I said, well, I really feel that you may not have been born in America, but you were born for America. That's a paraphrase. I think that's what it was. But my implication was that that Lucian is the sort of person for whom America could be a great and fertile experience. There is something. It's really interesting too, because there is something, and I haven't even yet identified it, but there's something really quintessentially American about Lucian.
Frederick Jackson Turner called the settling of the frontier the perennial rebirth of America. Today the frontier is settled, but the people aren't. What revives us today is the constant influx of new Americans. People like the Zabramnis, the Rabinoviches, the Kams, and millions of others come to America determined to start their lives over. They even have to learn to talk all over again. Yet in this struggle to find a footing here, they forge a future for all of us. They bring new blood, fresh hope, and they find and create new opportunities that help keep the new world new.
America as a nation is trusting. My God, look at how many times we've given out love and support and material support to nations, and they stick it to us. And we're shocked. How could they do that? We just wanted to help, So they stick it to us. And we're hurt, and we think about it, and then somebody else needs something, and we do the same thing. Because we really are a trusting, believing people. And I guess that's it.
Sleep good.
Can it be? The way has been closed only halfway down the path. Can it be? They have carefully wrapped me in the Russian newspaper and put me aside. I was forced to play a mute. At the very moment I was ready to speak, that dying voice held a knife to my words. Even the sun was dazed. I promised myself that never again would I look for the sky in the attics of hell. I learned to smuggle the blue-penciled words onto a silent stage. I taught the props how to speak. I taught my eyes how to mime these lunatic times. All had been cleverly barred, but I defended at least my right to the poetry whispered in the wings. They tried to make me part of the backdrop. But if you look closely from the back of the house, I'm still there, smoldering. A living prop in their wordless play.
that flag's unfurled. We're coming to America. Got a dream to take them there. They're coming to America. Got a dream they come to share. They're coming to America. They're coming to America. They're coming to America. They're coming to America. They're coming to America today. 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 My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, of thee I sing today. 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 Today.